Welcome back everybody to the Zelda Religionist, and today we're going to discuss what could be the events that happens between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Now when I say we're going to discuss these events, what I mean is we're going to speculate on what these events are, because I myself don't know. Yet. Recently, a video popped up on my recommended page on YouTube, and it said something about like one of the hardest Zelda games, or just a hard Zelda game or something like that. Come to find out, it was for a fan game that took place between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. A very unofficial sequel, if you will. And when I say I'm going to speculate, I'm going to do just that, because I know nothing about this game. Because as I watched the video and they got to talking about how it took place between the two games and it was an original story and all that, I kind of clicked off that video. Because I'm all about a brand new Zelda experience. And when I have the chance to experience a story that takes place between two of my favorite Zelda games, I'm going to jump on that. So I didn't want to watch the video, I didn't want to see any spoilers. And then of course where I clicked on that one video, a lot more videos of that Zelda game started popping up for me. I'm like, you better quit YouTube. I'm trying to avoid story spoilers here. I want to experience this for myself. So what does a lone little Zelda religionist have to do whenever a brand new Zelda game is revealed to them? I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to speculate on what I think the game could be without knowing anything about it at all. Now I say new Zelda game, but what I mean is it's new to me. Because I've never heard about this game. At all. Ever. And it's not new. It says it was made in 2021. That's quite a long time ago. But the fact that it's a brand new story that takes place in between Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. That's where it got me. Because I love those two games. Probably love Majora's Mask a little bit more than Ocarina of Time. And I never really thought that there was much room for a series of events to take place in between those two games. I always looked at it as there was a bit of a time gap. Not a big one. Like maybe a week at the least. At the most, maybe a month. Maybe 3 weeks. I never thought to have that much time in between those two games. Because you get the Princess Zelda flashback in Majora's Mask when you retrieve the Ocarina of Time from Skull Kid in the first 3-day cycle of the game. The way I always interpreted that scene was as follows. Princess Zelda sends Link back in time after defeating Ganon in the adult timeline. She sends him back, he's back to his original time as a kid, putting the Master Sword back to rest. Navi leaves, and then Link immediately heads to the castle to warn Princess Zelda and the royal family of Ganondorf's true intentions. What we see in that Majora's Mask flashback is Princess Zelda talking to Link, thanking him for what he did, and giving him the Ocarina of Time, teaching him the Song of Time. And I believe she has a line of dialogue saying that, I've only known you for such a short time, but it feels like I've known you for so much longer, or something similar to that. Does that mean he was sent back before his original meeting with Princess Zelda, or was it after their initial meeting? Because at the ending of Ocarina of Time, whenever she turns around to see Link at the very last shot of the game, it's kind of reminiscent of their first meeting, where she turns around in a shock to see him. My personal knowledge? I don't know. It's just up to speculation. But in that flashback memory, Princess Zelda thanks him, gives him the Ocarina of Time, and then Link leaves to the forest to go search for Navi. And then in the beginning of Majora's Mask, Link is in that forest searching for Navi. So I figure maybe between both games total, at least a week. So this fan game that takes place in between both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is called, significantly enough, The Missing Link. I'm assuming as in the missing link in between both those games. It's kind of obvious. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. Also, you could look at it as this Link goes missing. Because he kind of does in Majora's Mask. He goes missing from Hyrule, goes to Termina, and who the heck knows what happens after that, in reality. It all depends on how you look at the story of Majora's Mask. That's a conversation for another day. So the first question we have to ask ourselves, where does the missing link take place at the beginning of the game? Is it going to be after the meeting with Princess Zelda, Link warning the royal family about Ganondorf's true intentions, or is it already going to be Link on his adventure looking for Navi? Whether in the forest, whether somewhere in Hyrule, or outside the bounds of Hyrule, leading us into our next question, does it take place in Ocarina of Time's Hyrule map? Because if it does, then we have the potential to revisit some locations we saw in Ocarina of Time. Because it's going to be kind of cool if we get to go back to some of the dungeons we did in Ocarina of Time in a series of events that take place after. I highly doubt there'll be a lot of differences, but there could be maybe a few differences. Maybe we have to do a dungeon a different way or something like that. Or the bigger question, will it take place outside the bounds of Ocarina of Time's Hyrule map? Because as cool as it would be to go back into Ocarina of Time's Hyrule, it seems like this game isn't going to be taking place a lot further than Ocarina of Time, so there wouldn't be that much time for changes. But if you're in a side area that you could kind of maybe see in Ocarina of Time's map, but couldn't quite access it because it was out of bounds, it'd be really cool. Because there's a lot of areas that you can just see off into the map when looking around anywhere in Ocarina of Time. You can always see those really far side off areas that are just there for the scenery. But me being explorative, I always wanted to go past there and see what was there. This game, The Missing Link, could give us that chance, and I'm really hoping that's what they do. Another question we got to ask ourselves, how long is this story going to take place? Because if we're looking about a week in between the original two games, like I said, you could have a very tiny small adventure in there, but not a big one. If we're looking at a month in between the original two games, there's a good amount of time to work with there. I'm really curious how big of an adventure The Missing Link is going to be. Because a small, tiny adventure can still be really fun if it's got a cool story to it. I mean, it's already a Zelda game, which means I'm already going to enjoy it. I know that much for sure. Because no matter the story in a Zelda game, I always love it, I always enjoy it, and have such a great time playing the game. Now, I've been trying my hardest to avoid any knowledge of this game. But a few things have slipped through, and I've found out a couple details about it. Not big spoilers, but I've seen people describe it as eerie, and I think one title of a video said it was like the Dark Souls of Zelda or something like that. Interpret that how you will. But out of the few things I've seen, almost every single one of them have said, dark and eerie Zelda game. This is technically a precursor to Majora's Mask, one of the darkest Zelda games of all time. And if you got a precursor to that, it would kind of stand to reason, or at least help your game, if it was dark and eerie as well. A bit of pre-game dark and eerie to Majora's Mask, if you will. So if what I'm hearing is right about this game being dark and eerie, how dark and eerie are they going to go? Are they going to give us just a small taste? Or are they going to go all the way with it? Are we going to get to see redeads in it? And are they going to be in more massive droves than they were in Ocarina of Time? Are we just going to have to fight a big redead horde? That would be kind of dark and eerie. It'd almost be straight up terrifying. But going back into the setting, are they going to give us new locations, new dungeons, a whole new area to explore, or are they going to take Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Overworld map and put a bit of a dark and eerie twist on it, give us the same dungeons? You want to go dark and eerie in between Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time? What you could do is have us revisit the Deku Tree as Kid Link after he's already dead, finding a way to get back in there because something else is in there that we don't know about, and now we have to somehow find a way back in the Great Deku Tree, who is deceased at this point because he kind of died whenever you went to the Deku Tree dungeon to rid him of Queen Goma. He didn't survive that ordeal. But what if something's still hiding in there, maybe a Queen Goma spawn, and we gotta find a way back inside, be rid of it, but where the Deku Tree is dead, the dungeon will be a little bit different. It'll be much darker. All the bright brown wooden walls of the dungeon are now gray and rotting, And there's maybe even more Skulltula spiders in there. Maybe even some bigger ones. I don't know. You could do a lot with that concept. If the Missing Link doesn't do that, somebody do that idea. Heck, I may do that idea. But if we do have a new area, and if we do have new dungeons, what are they going to be like? That's what I want to know. I love my Zelda dungeons, okay? And when they're done right, I'm all about it. What could these new dungeons potentially be? And why do we have to go in them if it's a brand new area? And if it's a new area, why are we there? Obviously, we're on a quest looking for Navi. We know that much due to Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Does Link go immediately into the forest after warning the royal family? And then while he's in there, he ends up finding this massive expanse of an area that's in there that is its own mini-world / mini-map, and that's where the game takes place? I don't know. I want to know. I'm going to play this game, and I'm going to find out. But just imagine the feeling that I had to go through personally whenever I discovered that I have 2 new Zelda games this year instead of the original one, which was Echoes of Wisdom. It took me a couple days to process it, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I've got a lot of questions regarding the story of this game. So now, I've got to go play it to answer them. Well, I think that's going to wrap up all the initial outburst of emotion and questions and talking that I had to do for this game at the moment. And by the time this video is uploaded, I will have played and hopefully beaten The Legend of Zelda: The Missing Link. And if you're interested in seeing that playthrough, and you want to see if the answers to the questions I asked in this video are correct or way wrong, you can click right up here to see that playthrough. But thank you everybody for tuning into the Zelda Religionist. Hopefully you enjoyed the theories. And until the next time I see you, you all take care.